We're starting it all again. It's all starting again. Take two. We're actually live now, so live stream is up. Let's try this again. Take two, live on Facebook. Hello, Facebook.
WTH.
What the hell?
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 This is the WTH, the WTH podcast.
Hold on to your butts.
Jason Casey, Kareem Daniels, and Nate Darling. From the Darling New Media Studios. This is the WTH podcast.
Hi there. Welcome into another episode of the WTH podcast. Oh, hey.
Hey.
This is awkward. Hi, Kareem. How are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
Doing all right. Let me do that. Let's see if I can.
I lost your
There we go. Now you can hear.
There we go.
Yeah. It's going to be the audio is going to be the pulsating thing in the corner for everybody watching on Facebook Live. I hope you enjoy the pulsating thing in the corner. I was watching last week and we had issues with audio, and that the only one of us who sounded good was Jason on the live stream. And I'm like, well, we need to fix that.
Oh yeah.
By the way, Jason, we're waiting for him to show up, so I'm sure he will be along post haste, and we'll get him into the show. Coming up, we've got, what do we have? I've got two mice going here, so it's a little confusing. We've got some COVID stuff for you. Kareem has some personal COVID stuff, plus a douche leaves DC. What's going on in Portland? And they're biking in the nude in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. But before we get, yeah, it's summer there though, so it's fine. It's absolutely fine. So before we get to all of that, hold on. There he is. There's Jason. You can say something.
Oh man.
We just started. We literally just started. We got through the open. We said we'll start without him. He'll join when he can.
And here I am.
And here you are. So welcome in, Jake. We've got to talk about a variety of things, and COVID being one of them. But before we get to all of that in the body of the show, I have to ask, what do you want to talk about? And we will start with you, Kareem.
Lou Williams.
Lou, who left the bubble.
Lou left the bubble because there was a death in the family, but he decided that he was going to make a trip to Magic City to get some wings. And for those of you who don't know, Magic City is a strip club.
It's not the home of the Orlando Magic.
It's not the home of the Orlando Magic.
Gotcha.
So not only did he go to the strip club to get some wings, but he let somebody take a picture of it. Which was posted to social media, and
Smart.
yeah.
What a dumbass.
So his story was the strip club was closed. They have great wings, and apparently he's been to the club so much that they have wings named after him.
Oh, I love it.
So if they have wings named after you, you have been to the strip club too many times.
Maybe so. Or just enough.
Too many times. So, there's been blowback, and, people have been making light of it. But I'm like, how fucking irresponsible. Because you just put everybody's money at risk.
Mm-hmm.
That's like when keeping it real costs somebody $1 billion.
When keeping it real goes wrong.
Yeah, that's what it is. But keeping it real goes wrong, you know. And if it was just him personally and he did it, no big deal. But you have 18 or 20 other teams in the bubble, and I'm pretty sure those people want to make their money. I'm pretty sure the NBA wants to make their money, especially with the amount of money that they put forward to make this shit happen. So, you know, you could have skipped your wings. Look, even if you didn't really go to the strip club, you could have fucking skipped your wings until until the shit was over.
Right? Yeah, I went for wing. You know what they have? Wingstop.
Yes.
I'm sure not as good though.
It's not as good, but you know, just I don't, it's not my money, but you know, if somebody was going to be giving me, I'm going to say he's going to make $10 million to stay away from people for 6 weeks. I think I could do that. I think I could not have wings at the strip club for 6 weeks for $10 million.
You'd like to think so. I mean, but you don't know. You don't. I mean, once they name it after you, you kind of got to go. There's a responsibility that Lou feels that you might not. Just saying.
Jason, go ahead, Jason.
Jason, what do you want to talk about?
Just about how like ridiculously easy life is at this point right now, to where staying at home, not doing anything is so easy to fucking do that it's crazy that people are having such a hard time with it. Like, we've been doing grocery pickup since this whole COVID-19 thing started. Go and pick up our groceries. We did Rayleigh's a few times and just never got what we wanted. Always substitutions. It was just not good. But Walmart, it's been the other way. Like every time, maybe a few items. Got a delivery for the first time from them on Saturday, and got almost all the items that we wanted. But the two things that we didn't get was that they didn't have, that they said they were out of, were ketchup and jalapenos.
I get jalapenos. Ketchup?
Yeah, like ketchup. It was like, it wasn't like it was special. It was like Heinz ketchup. Like, but how crazy privileged are we? That's what I was upset about. Like that I had the nerve to be upset about. Like, it's ridiculous, right? I mean, I just like dick. How easy I have it to when I can get $225 worth of groceries, everything else that I need. But I'm upset because I didn't get some fucking ketchup.
Wait a minute. You little fuckers eat $225 worth of groceries?
Not necessarily all at once. Like, that's usually there's alcohol involved in that. But yeah, I mean, honestly, we're not eating out, so we are eating a lot better. What was that, Nate?
That's what she said.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, we're getting ice cream. We're getting a lot of shit that we don't need for sure. If it was not COVID times, us living in our house and that's it pretty much, we usually would spend about $125, $100 a week. But then we would have lunch out every once in a while, at least weekly, once eating out, you know. So we figure the extra money is fine in this situation.
Yeah, I mean, I can sort of see that that being an issue. Be like, okay, we're doing all right now. So let's settle down. I'm gonna reboot this computer here in just a second.
Fuck that computer.
Yeah, it's I've got a slide down to shut down your PC. Okay, all right, shutting down. What I want to talk about is it's not the bubble, it's the Major League Baseball season.
Oh man.
And somehow the state of Florida has managed to fuck this up for everybody already. And I say the state of Florida, I mean the Miami Marlins.
Of course they did.
Who had gosh, how many people test positive for COVID-19 now?
Was it
4?
18? Oh,
It was 14 this morning.
Oh, was it?
yeah.
Miami Marlins?
Yeah.
The roster is, the active roster is 30. The entire number of players, including what they're calling the taxi squads, is 60. So a quarter of them have now tested positive. These guys are not being smart about things. I mean, are they being Lou Williams stupid? We don't know. They're in Florida. They're moving about as they wish, and that can be part of the problem. But I'm like, Major League Baseball literally just started last Thursday.
Yeah. There's been a few games.
And I don't want to talk about the Angels. Been painful. It's been a painful time for me. But they aren't out testing positive. They were just in Oakland, which, God damn it, fuck this starting the season in Oakland. It's like 18 seasons in a row they got to start in fucking Oakland. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of starting the goddamn season in Oakland.
Just never do well there.
Not in the opening series, and they had some issues with winning games. But yeah, so as we're recording this, as we're live on Facebook on Monday, they have postponed the game. The home opener against the Orioles, and it's just insanity. So 8 more players and 2 coaches have tested positive in recent days. That brings it to a total of 14. That's according to ESPN. They are in Philadelphia right now. So they're out and about. We're continuing to undergo testing after their weekend series there. So what about the Phillies? Because some people on the field are wearing masks, but not all of them are wearing masks. And yeah, go ahead, Kareem.
I think it was the Yankees were supposed to go next. So that series got postponed because of it too.
Yeah, it's a mess. It's a mess. It's not a Lou Williams mess, but it's still a mess. And it could be even bigger than Lou Williams, because if this starts to snowball, so to speak, with everything that's going on, then we may be looking at what was going to be a 60-game season not being a season at all. And not that we can't live without baseball, but it was just that little bit of hope that we were having, that we would have another distraction to keep our mind occupied with things. And I mean, sports are great, but this could be very problematic with everything going on.
So it's funny, like, as we're talking about this and bubbles and stuff like that, this morning I told Chris, hey, how would you feel if I did the podcast at the studio today with the guys? They're all social distancing and practicing everything safely and stuff like that. And then later on in the afternoon, she's like, see, this is why you get comfortable and this is what happens.
Yeah, this is what she said.
And you don't know all the shit that's going on. So yeah, no, today was not a good day.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you do.
Yeah, I do. That's what I'm trying to be like. Yeah, but so it's just funny.
There's one person sitting in the Darling New Media studios, and if you're watching on Facebook, you can tell Kareem is at home. And we won't necessarily get into all of why, but there is a very good reason why Kareem is home and not here in the same room with me. Even though I'm looking over at the empty table where we were set to go, which is about 8 to 10 feet away. So yes, everything here is social distance. We've got different podcasts coming in. We're sanitizing, we're sterilizing, we're wiping everything down. Everybody's got a mask on until they start recording, and they put them back on as soon as they're done recording. And so there's protocols in place for it, but let's not be silly about things.
That is true.
Yeah, we've set this up to be able to do it this way for a reason, and I'm more than happy, if you could keep your daughter quiet, to do it this way indefinitely.
Can you hear her right now?
Yeah, of course I can.
Oh my gosh, she's in the other room.
Yeah.
At least she's having a good time. Like,
No, she sounds like a happy baby right now. Like, I completely understand that, and that's not it's not a dig or anything of that nature. As someone who has a now 17-month-old at home, who is a full-fledged toddler in that she runs around everywhere.
Yeah.
And, is getting very she's been really good with teething. Except for she's been really cranky the past few days, and like today she was really cranky about something, and she was kind of moody, and I was like, what's wrong? And she puts her little finger in her mouth, and you can see her pointing, like actually pointing to where the gum. I'm like, oh, your teeth hurt.
Yeah.
So, and it sucks because she's got most of her teeth now, so like a cooling teether won't do a damn bit of good.
No,
at all.
There's this stuff you can get at Walgreens that has like clove in it and some other stuff. It's like baby.
I'm not giving the child a cigarette with a clove in it.
It's not. But you put it on their gums, and it's like it's all natural. Like, but if you've ever had a clove, you know that they definitely do some numbing in your mouth when you smoke those. So if you blow the smoke into the baby's mouth, I'm just kidding. It's like a gel. It's like a gel. And it's clove and some other stuff that's baby Ganix. It's baby Ganix. I'm sure it's fine.
That's fine.
Baby Ganix?
I think that's what it's called.
Like baby and organics.
Baby and organic, yeah.
Combined. So let's get to it. Let's get to our Trump stuff.
Go fuck yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of the Yankees, Trump has now backed out of his commitment to throw the first pitch at the Yankee game. He announced yesterday that he would not be throwing out the opening pitch for the Yankees next month, as he had planned, citing meetings and other work related to the U.S.'s COVID-19 outbreak. In a tweet, Trump lied. I mean, Trump said he would plan to throw out the first pitch at a game later in the MLB season. He tweeted, and this is a quote, "Because of my strong focus on the China virus, including scheduled meetings on vaccines, our economy, and much else, I won't be in New York to throw out the opening pitch for the Yankees on August 15th. We will make it later in the season."
He didn't want to look like a little bitch throwing a baseball. That's what it is.
Yeah, he saw what happened to Dr. Fauci.
Well, yes, he did. I also saw footage of him playing catch at the White House a couple of days ago. Here's my theory on this whole thing. So you remember opening night last Thursday, it was the Nationals and the Yankees. Do you know what happened when the national anthem played?
Hella kneeling.
Yeah.
Everybody took a knee. Everybody took a knee. So all of the Yankees took a knee. All of the Nationals took a knee. Trump does not want to roll into New York to have his team all take a knee in front of him, where he is completely powerless to do anything about it, because he will look weak as fuck if that happens. And
I think they would do it just because.
I mean, they did it for opening day on national TV. You think they're not going to do it on that day? And I've seen teams doing different levels of it here and there. Saw the Dodgers, where new Dodger and super rich dude Mookie Betts did take a knee, and he had Bellinger and Muncy on either side of him. They did not take a knee, but they put their hands on his shoulder, sort of in solidarity situation. So it's happening. I saw players with Black Lives Matters t-shirts running around and pregame stuff. I cannot imagine that this is a good look for Trump. He wants to make sure that everything is under control, or else he's going to look super weak with everything going on there. So, hello to Daniel Hughes, by the way. Daniel watches the All Eyes on Us podcast on Sunday, and it's funny. So they are all on camera, and I'm running the boards and stuff, and they asked me to have a microphone. So I, as the whitest guy on earth, will weigh in, but the people who are listening are like, that's not what I expected him to sound like. Because they were expecting Nate to sound, and I am not going to try to I'm not going to try to have the black sound because that would not work out well. It would be incredibly
What would it sound like?
Nope, not
Go fuck yourself. Say it again. Go fuck yourself.
That's what I'm saying to you, Jason. I'm not doing that. What do you think? 2012 Nate would have done it. 2020 Nate? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. No freaking way am I doing that. I had a business done here. I'd like to keep it open as best we can. Some good news for the Trump campaign. They've announced their all-star lineup of speakers for their new scaled-down Republican convention, which is now going to be done primarily via Zoom, as they have canceled the Jacksonville component.
They look like people that couldn't make it to Dancing with the Stars.
Here are the and I'll start with the big. We'll go from the most famous on down. Ted Nugent, the most famous. Scott Baio.
Oh my gosh.
Antonio Sabato Jr. and of course, Diamond and Silk.
Mm-hmm.
People who would. The answer to the question is people who would not get picked for Dancing with the Stars.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, it's not great. I mean, Scott Baio, he was famous in the late 70s, early 80s. I mean, people still know who he is, but in terms of him being relevant, no.
People knowing who he is, like that are above the age of 40, like.
And the people below 30 that know who he is knows that he slept with his teenage co-star.
There's that. He also had a reality show a couple of years ago.
Oh, that's right. That was it was Married with Baio, right? It was like it was him being married. It was like his whole.
I think it was him. Is he willing to get married? I don't recall. I watched it and I don't recall the premise of it. I just remember at one point his old co-star from Happy Days, Erin Moran, went on and told him that she forgave him. And she traveled from like a trailer park in Illinois to she's not doing as well. Well, at least at the time she was not doing quite as well. Baio managed to save his money and do all right. But but not her. She had, I think, issues with
drugs
or alcohol.
Yeah, something else. Scott Baio is 45 and single, and followed by Scott Baio is 46 and pregnant. Uh-oh.
I think hold on a second. I think she pinched herself.
The mention of Scott Baio.
She's like, she knows already.
By the way, this was 2007 and 2008, so this was a long time ago.
Yeah,
this is a very long time ago for those. So that's who's and Diamond and Silk. Google them. Good luck finding them. The Trump campaign, now to more bad news for the Trump campaign and the Republican National Committee. They've been told by the Reagan Foundation. You remember Reagan? He was president in the 80s.
Law and Order. He was a Law and Order president, wasn't he?
Conservative icon Ronald Reagan, who would not actually pass the Republican purity test that they based allegedly on Ronald Reagan. Well, the Reagan Foundation has told the RNC and the Trump campaign to stop using the former president's likeness for fundraising. Damn. Yeah, Reagan reached out from beyond the grave and went, no more using my name and likeness to raise money.
Yeah,
I'll do that impression. The Trump Make America Great Again committee, which raises money for the president's reelection, and the RNC was ordered by the Ronald Reagan Presidential Foundation and Institute to stop using the former president's likeness for fundraising. We heard last week that the RNC was selling a commemorative Reagan Trump coin. Mm-hmm. Oh, God.
I have the email. I can forward it to you.
Wow.
The Ronald Reagan Presidential Foundation and Institute owns the name, image, and likeness of President Reagan, and they used his image for the coin without our consent. We called the RNC and asked them to cease and desist the use of the President Reagan on the coin, and they agreed. That was first confirmed to the Washington Post, pointing out that the demand was simply handled with a phone call last week to the RNC, and they agreed to stop, although the campaign agreed quickly to end it. The foundation is still looking into the incident and may get lawyers involved moving forward. Interesting stuff. When Ronald Reagan's like, nope, we're not going to do it. Not going to do it.
Damn, nobody likes him.
Right? It's a very tough time. Oh, there it is again. Hey, you know what I did? You know what I forgot to do again this time? Hit record on the audio board.
Are you serious?
Yep. It's okay. It's all recorded online. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, look at that. That's a nice coin.
Oh, wow.
Just you're watching on Facebook. There you go. Perfect stuff.
Yeah. You can contribute 75, 65, 55, 45, or any amount.
Any amount?
But you had to do 45 in order to get the coin.
Oh, so it's not any amount.
No.
That's a bunch of, get 45 because he's the 45th president. I get it. I get jokes. Now, this is interesting. This clip has been going around Twitter a little bit, and this is from 1990. So this is 30 years old, and it's Barbara Walters, although the person who tweeted it says Barbara Walter. It's Barbara Walters. Walters. And it's from an interview in 1990 that she did with Donald Trump, and she did her research before she went in.
I've never seen press reporting as I have with regard to me. And I hope the general public understands how inherently dishonest the press in this country is.
As a member of the press, let me try to clear up some of the things which you say are untrue. My bankers and I worked out a terrific deal that allows me to come out stronger than ever. I see the deal as a great victory. Being on the verge of bankruptcy, being bailed out by the banks,
Well, you don't have to say that.
skating on thin ice and almost drowning, that's a businessman to be admired.
You say on the verge of bankruptcy, Barbara, and you talk on the verge, and you listen to what people are saying.
I talk to your bankers.
Well, that's fine. And what do they say? I mean, depending on which banker you're talking to, what do they say? Well, I don't know what the bankers have said. The plaza is a very valuable property. Everybody told me, oh, you paid too much, you paid too much. Now they're all saying what a great deal he made on the plaza.
No, they're not.
Just for the bankers, the bankers didn't bury him because they thought the properties would be more, they would make more money from the properties by keeping his name on it. That's how he made out. That's it.
Yeah, it was. I love the fact that she came in prepared, and we saw a little bit of this with Chris Wallace a week ago with the president, but not enough. It's not you have to, and even with that, she would contradict, and he would like bulldoze right through it. It's 30 years of this, and more, and it's nothing is changed, except he now has more power and no one's calling him on his shit. So meanwhile, House conservatives have been piling on Liz Cheney. Members of the conservative House Freedom Caucus, which does not actually believe in freedom, ironically named, they tore into Representative Liz Cheney from Wyoming during a heated GOP conference meeting last week, lobbing attacks at her and breaking with President Donald Trump, supporting Dr. Anthony Fauci, and backing a primary opponent to one of their colleagues. Representative Jim Jordan of Ohio, who is the Freedom Caucus co-founder and one of Trump's top allies, called out Cheney, the GOP conference chair, for all the time she has opposed Trump, and began ticking off some recent high-profile examples, according to two sources in the room. While Jordan praised her defense of Trump during impeachment, he also said Cheney's recent rebukes of Trump, which have focused on Trump's handling of the coronavirus, his Twitter rhetoric, and his foreign policy, were not helpful. You know what else is not helpful? All three of those things, because he's been a fuck in every single one of those.
Yes.
Right? Representative Andy Biggs of Arizona, the head of the Freedom Caucus, even accused Cheney of undermining the GOP's ability to win back the House, and said that if someone has a problem with Trump, they should keep it to themselves.
Wow.
No.
Right?
Not at this point.
Well, not at any point. I mean, if you're talking about like a minor disagreement, okay, maybe that's something you hash out behind the scenes. We're 3.5 years into his presidency. He has fucked the handling of the coronavirus big time. He has fucked us on foreign policy big time. And his presence on Twitter is a nightmare, an absolute fucking nightmare, to say nothing of the secret police. We'll get to that. We will get to that too.
You know, it's funny that the whole thing that's crazy about this in a way is like COVID-19 could have been like that thing that won him the hearts and mind of a lot of people. He could have saved millions of lives, unified the country, like against one common enemy, a fucking virus. Like he could,
Right.
I mean, like it could have, like all of that could have happened.
We could be in the same position that other countries are in. Countries in Europe are in, where they have the virus under control because of the measures they've taken. They've been able to safely reopen schools. They've been able to do a variety of things.
Every single person that I know in my family that's a Trump supporter is an anti-masker also, and thinks that there's something going on behind the scenes with this virus. Not one, not a few, like every single one of them that's a Trump supporter. My sisters, my dad, all of them think that there's something else going on behind the scenes.
Here's the deal. Dude could have walked in on January 17th, walked across the aisle, did a infrastructure bill with the Democrats, and he would have went down as the greatest president in the United States history. But no, he had to try to destroy everything that Obama did, and he shot himself in the fucking foot. And by the time we got to this point, he could have got away with anything that he wanted to do. But no, he was petty. Infrastructure bill with the Democrats, and he would have went down.
Sorry.
No, that bared repeating.
It sure did.
Seriously, like he's had so many opportunities. Like it's just crazy. Like he'd rather play it for politics, and as we've seen, as we know, as we heard, everybody else is at fault.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a complete and utter mess. And we got a comment that the Trump supporters up in the Reading area have the same thing about masks. So it's not just your family.
The Central Valley was the same way. That's why they're that's why was it Stanislaus and
San Joaquin?
San Joaquin, that's why they're that way. And I've been down there a whole lot in the last since it's been going on. And I have seen people wearing masks maybe 3 times.
Yeah, there's no way I'm going down there. So let me give you a for instance here. So here, if you're unfamiliar with the Sacramento area, you've got Roseville, which is a suburb, but it's in a different county, and it's a very conservative area. As you start to go up in elevation, the conservative level goes up with it. I needed to go to Bye Bye Baby to get something a week ago, and we were going to order it and pick it up. And I decided that I would prefer to go to Elk Grove than to Roseville. And it's the only reason was I know there's going to be more people in Roseville who are not going to wear a mask than in Elk Grove. The likelihood of running into people who aren't wearing masks is much, much higher. So for that reason, I did that. Leslie and I wanted to go to RC Willey and check out something with furniture. Again, same thing. We went to the one in
Delta Shores.
Yeah, Delta Shores rather than going to Rockland because we didn't want to run into people not wearing masks. So you can wave your freedom flag all you like. It's costing you business, whether you like it or not. If you've got a bunch of people in there going, well, we're not going to wear a mask. And you may think, oh, but we have all of these people who were there. Those people are coming to you anyway. They're not going to stay. I hate to break it to you. They're going to yell about how their freedoms are being impinged or whatever the fuck. But they still have to go out and get the stuff that they want to get out. And by the way, they're not going to be inconvenienced by staying at home when they can go out shopping. They're just not. Nope. So you're shooting yourself in the foot and you're being dumb about it. And you're putting your employees at risk, which is the bigger aspect of this. You're putting your employees at risk. So it's just incredibly frustrating. While we're on the topic of not necessarily masks, but yeah, sort of. We're on the topic of House Republicans. Devin Nunes, who represents the area of California south of Fresno, his office is down in Clovis. He is one of the big defenders of President Trump. He has said that Democrats are against white people because they're always talking about racism. He said on the Fox News Sunday Morning Futures, look, the Democratic Party, it's very odd. For a party that seems to be against white people and always talking about racism, they sure do like to prop up these old avatar white dudes. They have one running for president right now who's hiding in his basement, who won't answer questions. What was his involvement? Their presidential candidate, who has supposedly concocted this idea of using the Logan Act to investigate the Trump campaign.
You dick!
What are you talking about? Joe Biden has actually been out making appearances. He's been doing interviews. He's not in his basement. That's a bullshit nonsense talking point that they've been throwing at the people who just watch Fox News and dial into these Republican things. But what do you think of the claim that Democrats hate white people?
No, I know just as many racist Democrats as I do Republicans.
Oh man,
it's probably because you know more Democrats than
it's
Republicans.
Exactly. It's just a different kind of racism, but they still racist.
Yeah, it's something. This guy, now everybody in the House of Representatives is up for election because it's a 2-year term. So we'll see what happens with this. He of course sued Twitter and lost. That got kicked out of court. He's still suing. I believe he is still suing the parody account, Devin Nunes' cow and Devin Nunes' mom. He's suing those parody accounts for inflicting emotional damage upon him, despite the fact that as a public figure, the threshold for that is much, much higher than the average person.
As we saw on The People vs. Larry Flint.
Yes.
I mean, all you had to do is watch that movie and see that he has a losing argument.
What I find really funny about the whole thing is people like Devin Nunes like to throw around the term snowflake a lot, and they are the ones who are the most thin-skinned about literally everything. They if you call them into question on any level, they're like, I'm being persecuted against. They hate white people. Why are they doing this to me? It's causing me undue stress.
No,
whatever, dude.
Whenever you're talking a blanket statement about white people and you're talking about those white people, the ones that you're always talking about are the ones that get upset first. You know, they are. That's just the way they are. As can be witnessed in my Facebook messages with a friend that we always share, Carla, over the last week.
She's still on Facebook?
Oh, man. I had a whole conversation with her about the fact of, like, she keeps trying to bring up that, like, slavery has been around since the beginning of time. And I keep saying, what does that have to do with the 400 years of oppression that African Americans have had in this country? And then she said something about assimilating, and that if people just assimilated, that they wouldn't have problems. You know, like the Jews, that the reason that they always have problems because they don't assimilate. So I said, so are you saying that? What? Are you saying that it's the Jews' fault that the Holocaust happened? And she pretty much said yes. She pretty much said yes.
Is she hanging with Nick Cannon? What's going on?
Man. It's ridiculous. It was just so funny. Like, she's just like I just can't. I don't get it. Like, I just don't get it.
She does realize that after the Civil War, Reconstruction, and that after Reconstruction, the KKK was formed to keep black people in their place, which was not to be a part of society, but to be slaves by a different name.
Oh yeah, no, she thinks like she's one of those people now that has this idea that as soon as you start talking about white people and how there's systemic racism, and she like reverts into the I'd rather be judged on my character. And when I wake up in the morning, I don't see color. It's like, so I actually said so. So Armin Arbery and George Floyd, you know, I'm sure when they woke up the mornings that they woke up, that they didn't think that their skin would have anything to do with them dying that day. You know what I mean? Like, it's such a privileged idea to have that you're colorblind. I mean, Kareem used to say it on the show all the time. Like, when you say that you're colorblind, like, that just shows how, like, that you're a racist.
Well, let's go a different way with this, with this thought, because you may not be a racist. You may just be ignorant. And, you know, we all have the opportunity to learn. And I like to hearken back to the example of Cody Rhodes, who is married to an African-American woman, and he liked to say that he didn't see color. And finally, one day she said, you know, when you say that, you discount me and everyone like me and everything we've been through, because you're saying that there's nothing about that you recognize. And then he was like, oh shit, I guess that was a stupid thing to say.
Luckily for him, he has a smart wife.
Yeah,
who's a person of color.
No, it's actually it's the fact that he finally got it.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
you have to give him some credit for getting it.
Right? No, yeah, absolutely.
It did take him till like late 2018, but he did get it. And look, it's a learning curve for all of us.
I remember the moment that you got it, and I think it was we were doing a thing on what's his name? Oh, that rapper. Gosh, what was his name?
You want to cut off his own penis?
No. It was oh gosh, what's his name? The kilos in my he's a Florida rapper who's white. Stitches. Yeah, it was Stitches, and like it was Stitches, and was it Meek Mill that was in prison for the gun charge, or and like had gotten out. It was like the same time, and like we found out that Stitches like had a gun in his car in a handicap zone, and was like let go with a warning, and you're like, what the fuck is going on here? Like you're just like oh, that's why I get it now. I remember the
look, we all have our moments. It finally gets through, and we realize look, that's why we talk about it, because there are people who still aren't there yet, and it's not because they're necessarily racist or because they harbor any sort of views that somebody is less than somebody else. It's just your level of experience. And I had a conversation with one of my friends who still lives up in the Northeast, and this is someone who, for the most part, has not been out of like Vermont and New Hampshire for the bulk of his life. So he doesn't have the experience of dealing with a culturally diverse population and kind of what goes into that. And I mean, we are in a situation here in the Sacramento area where we are one of the most ethnically and culturally diverse cities in the entire country. Sacramento, Stockton, Oakland, all of the areas in northern and central California, it's a very diverse area, and you get to see all of these different people from all of these different backgrounds, and you actually get to know people and talk to people and get an idea of what their concerns are and how they conduct themselves with their friends and with their families. And Kareem's project of Black fathers, that is something that if people actually open their eyes and see, it's going to break them out of this ideas and these stereotypes that they've gotten, because they haven't been exposed to any of this. They haven't been exposed to African-American families. They haven't been exposed to anything but what they are hearing in the media, what they're hearing on Fox News, the ideas that have been passed down through from their family members who grew up in a simpler time when things were, well, they were more racist. Or differently racist, maybe not more racist, maybe just differently racist, but that's where everything comes from. And it's not necessarily that they're actively racist or trying to be discriminatory. It's just comes from a place of not really knowing. And one of the things as we're going through this is I want to try and help people come along with, yes, we want to have fun with this show. We're trying to have fun with this show. We're going to have fun with this show.
Go fuck yourself. Say it again. Go fuck yourself.
Okay. So, but I think there's an opportunity for people to take something away from this and experience of what we're doing, because this show has always had a diverse cast. Every iteration of the cast of this show has had a varying levels of diversity. And, you know, it started out with myself and Mel, who is a former lady cop who's Jewish, and Larry, who's an openly gay male. And I'm straight white guy from Vermont. So we had a variety of different opinions, and we had different hosts and co-hosts who were Jewish and vegan and Hispanic and really guilty white guys, and Kareem and
Asian.
Now that's Asian lesbian. My God, I almost forgot about Diana. So we've had those different voices in talking, but the thing we've had in common through the whole thing is we've had fun talking about shit and making fun of stuff. And it never became, the show wasn't about, hey, look how different you are than me and I am than you and how this goes here. It's about making fun of the bullshit going on all around us. And I think we can all agree on that.
Yes. And we've all grown during the process.
I think so. Even you,
Yes.
Kareem.
Even you, Nate.
Even you.
And
Not-
Jason's
not-
still not
Stay the
Jason. Yeah.
Well, no, well, to be fair, the first time you heard Jason on the show, he was still drinking, so he's grown.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I was still like, it's funny because I'm still saying a lot of the same things about. I see like things come in my Facebook feed about Black Lives Matter and stuff like that from 5-6 years ago, and I like to know that I'm at least consistent on my fact of like that, you know. But a big part of that is because I had to do my own research, because I heard things and I was like, that can't be true.
Hold on. Does that mean you looked at a lot of memes and YouTube videos?
No,
That's
no.
Do my own research. That's what they.
I know. But I would see deeds come across my desk when I was working at USAA for homeowners policies, where people would send me a copy of their deed, and it would say that like only Caucasian people could live there, like in this covenant for this area. Like this was in El Dorado Hills or in Folsom, like in areas of LA.
What?
Yeah. Like this house, and like from deeds from like the 40s and the 50s, you know, that they'd have these covenants written into these deeds for these homes when they were first being sold. So I started doing research and reading articles and seeing what I could find out about it, and like seeing that, and like all of a sudden I started seeing about how our freeways in this state in the country were made, and how like everything is interconnected. And now I'm reading Ta-Nehisi Coates' the Between the World and Me, and like getting another view of it. Like I don't know. I also read another book that I read that was really amazing that I think like every white guy should read is The Invisible Man, which is a fictional book about an African American, like what he went through in like I think it's like the 20s, 30s period, you know, and just him and stuff like that. And that also showed me like this is still relevant today. And I read that book like 5-6 years ago. That book was really important because it showed also how the socialists at the time were using African Americans to promote their ideas of unions, yet in the end would still leave them out. And be the scapegoat. Yeah. That's still, it's a fictional book, but a lot of what they talk about, and then the Henrietta Lacks story, the Henrietta Lacks story, helicells, like that. Like, anyhow, when you start doing reading, it's very evident where you don't just go on feelings. And like when you, something else I've noticed. Sorry, I'll stop talking after this for the rest of the show. I won't talk. But another thing I realized is that when you get that feeling in the bottom of your pit when somebody says something like white people or men. Like when you start getting that feeling and you get angry, or you start feeling that you're alienated, that's usually that part of your body, like that part of your soul that you need to listen. Like, why are you upset? Why is this making you angry when somebody's talking about it? Like, why am I all of a sudden really angry when somebody's talking about systemic racism and like saying that white people are part of that, and that why is that making me angry? I'm so upset about that because no, I'm not racist. When you start having those feelings, that means you need to explore it more.
I can tell you why a lot of people feel that way, because a lot of people, as they grew up, didn't have a lot and they struggled, and their personal story isn't something where they came from. The terminology white privilege is terrible, because if you're someone who grew up poor in an area where you busted your ass for every dime you ever made, you hear white privilege and you think of someone like Donald Trump, who inherited his money, never had to work a day in his life for anybody but his dad. Everything was handed to him. That's what you think when you think white privilege. So when someone says you have white privilege and you're like, no, I busted my ass every day of my life for everything I ever had. I've worked really hard. I've scraped by and I've had tough times. That's why a lot of people get really upset about that, because for them, it feels like you're accusing someone who came from very little and is still struggling to make ends meet and get through their life, and painting them with the same brush that you paint someone who is, Paris Hilton, Donald Trump, or someone who has just had everything handed to them. And that is part of why people get their
panties in a bunch.
Yeah, they get their defenses up, because for them, it's like you've attacked everything that they've built their identity on and saying it's bullshit.
Yeah, like we're not married, but my sister-in-law, she didn't graduate from high school. She's got a GED. She put herself through. She had 3 kids. She went to one of those community colleges, got her certificate in medical billing, and she's put herself in a position to be an executive at one of the local companies. And it sucks that I know how much she struggled to get to where she is, but then I also know that if she were a Black woman, she would have never got the opportunity.
Right.
And like, this is something that I've been struggling with in my head, like the last couple of days. Cause I'm like, fuck, I'm so proud of her to where she's gotten to. And it sucks for her and people like her, the fact that the other people who were racist and it's almost like the affirmative action thing, where you're like, you're not getting credit for everything that you've done because people assume that you got it because you were with the affirmative action, but because you were Black. But I know that a lot of the doors that were open for her wouldn't have been open for a Black woman in that same situation, which sucks because I would never want to denigrate what she's accomplished.
But you don't have to. I guess that's the problem, is that like people think that when you say white privilege, that you're negating all of that. And it has nothing to do with any of your personal achievements. It has everything to do with the fact that when you wake up in the morning and you get in your car and you drive to work, you don't have to worry about getting pulled over for no fucking reason at all. You don't have to worry about going to a store at Nordstrom's and getting followed by security because they think that you're going to steal the perfume or a purse and shit like that. It's all that type of shit that goes on, but as soon as they hear white privilege, they shut down.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm not privileged. Like, my brother had it for years. Because my mom she's a recovering addict now. She's has almost 4 years sober. But we grew up like my mom. I grew up in a house full of alcoholics. My mom was doing drugs, living in a 1-bedroom, like almost trailer with my brother and my sister in it, with different boyfriends coming through. Like, my brother did not have it easy, not in the slightest. So when I start talking about white privilege, immediately he would get defensive. Now he gets it. Now he understands that the capital of the United States was built by slaves.
Sure. Right, but that's why people get defensive, and that's why good, and that's honest to God, that's why good people get defensive, and that's why I think we need to educate people more than try and shame them into what's going on, because having that conversation to understand what it really means, just like and the newest one is defund the police. Defund the police does not mean get rid of the police, but that is what people hear when they hear it. That's what people like to spin it as. Oh, you're not going to be safe because Joe Biden wants to defund the police. He doesn't, by the way. Joe Biden doesn't want to defund anything. I find it hilarious how the people who are progressive Democrats are like, Joe Biden's the same as the Republicans, and the Republicans are like, Joe Biden is so liberal, he's going to take this country down the tubes. I'm like, oh, are you fucking kidding me?
So you have people that want solutions, and then you have a bunch of people that just want to be outraged, and that's on all sides. That's black people, white people, that's everybody. They just want to be outraged, and it's like, look, most of the country's in the middle. They all want the same things, and because you want to be out here on the periphery yelling and screaming, you got a louder voice because it's what you're doing, but you're not in the majority of what people in this country want, and that's people of all races.
I honest to God think that for the most part, the people of this country want to get up in the morning and not have to worry about checking Twitter to see what the fuck crazy thing the president of the United States said, gotten us into, completely. I mean, it's been chaos. It's chaos. It's like living. John Mulaney had the best explanation of it. You have to think about it for a little bit. He said having Trump as president is like bringing a horse to the hospital. And he gives a ton of examples, and I'm like, yeah, well, that's really hard. It's chaos. It's constant chaos. It's Jason, you have a toddler. I have a toddler at home. I cannot relax for a single solitary second if I don't have the toddler in my sight. You've got two. Because there will be chaos. They will find something that you haven't seen in months. You have no idea where it is. They've got it. They're running around with it.
Alma will find it and put it in her mouth. That's
yeah.
Alma will find it. She'll find it. All of a sudden, I'll be like, "Oh, that's where it is. It's in her mouth." Or my 3.5-year-old, who over the last 2 days has thrown the most craziest, like blood-curdling tantrums that she's ever thrown. One, because my wife asked her to go potty before she left, like in the car somewhere. She like cried. Like, I was horrible. It was like the door was open. People could hear us down the street. Surprised CPS didn't show up at our door. She had a second one happen. Like, and then she had another one later on the afternoon. And then tonight she had another one, like, because she wasn't eating her food. So we're like, okay, we're taking her food away. I'm hungry. I want to eat. Then we set it down in front of her, and then she doesn't eat it. And then we're like, we're going to take it away. And then she, oh man. And then I was like, okay, I have to do my podcast. Mommy's going to read to you tonight. And she starts crying. She's at that age. She's at that age, 3.5. It's like nuts, dude. It's nuts.
I used to date this girl, and if her son did something wrong, we would put him on the bed, like in a timeout, and be like, you can't get off the bed. And he would scream bloody murder like we were beating the shit out of him. And we would be in the other room, and he would just be in there on their bed, just like, I didn't realize that a little person can make that much noise.
And it's at such a high pitch.
Oh my God.
High pitch. It travels through walls. All right. We got to get moving here.
Sorry.
It's all right. It's good stuff. We'll make these next things quick. They're about COVID. If you got the mask and it's not covering your nose, it's not doing its job. Cover your nose. There's proof now. Skip that. President Trump's national security advisor has tested positive for COVID-19. Ha 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 ha. Robert O'Brien. It's the highest ranking Trump administration official known to have tested positive. Unclear the last time he met with Trump. Their last public appearance together was over 2 weeks ago in Miami. He's experiencing mild symptoms and is self-isolating, working from a secure location off-site. There are recent photos of him with a bunch of people working closely together without masks and not social distancing. Shocker. Also, a rabid, and this this is from the Twitter feed of the lawyer in Florida who was going to the beaches dressed as the Grim Reaper. His name is Daniel Ulfelder. He tweets, rabidly anti-gay Arkansas state senator Jason Rappert, who has referred to the coronavirus as a hoax and called mask mandates draconian, is now hospitalized with COVID-19. He's running for lieutenant governor of Arkansas, by the way. I've heard the theory put out there that if you call the virus a hoax and you need to be hospitalized for the virus, that you should be turned away. Thoughts?
I agree.
I don't.
especially at this point.
It's sad.
Maybe okay. What if we were to make this the dividing line, Jason? What if we were to say that as just an average member of society, if you were like it was a hoax and then you get it and you have to go to the hospital, you're fine. But if you're a public official who should know better and you continue to put out the message that the coronavirus is a hoax, even though you know it's not a hoax, and you then get it and you then have to go to the hospital, should that person then be turned away?
That person should have other things done to them, such as stripped of any titles that they have for public office, because they lied to their public and did great disservice to their constituents.
That's not the question.
No, I don't think that they should be. I don't think we should let people just die or be sick.
But we are. That's the thing.
Well, I mean, what was in Arizona? They started, or no, Texas. They started their death panels, right? Look at everybody was worried about Obama with the death panels, and Republican state's the first one to have them.
Of course they are.
Well, yes and no. In New York, they had to make those same decisions. Who gets ventilator? Who gets care? Who doesn't get care? Because there's a finite amount of resources.
Yeah.
So anyway, and then finally, a South Carolina man who was recorded walking around Walmart coughing on food items and general merchandise has been arrested on a pair of felony charges. His name's Kyle Arundel. He's 39. He was busted for aggravated breach of peace and malicious injury to property in connection with a disturbance on Sunday at the Walmart near his Spartanburg home. As seen in a video recorded by a fellow shopper, Arundel, who's not wearing a protective mask, deliberately coughs on a variety of items as he pushes a blue cart across the store. Hacking loudly, he did intentionally cause a scene, according to the arrest warrant. While court records do not reveal why he went on a coughing rampage, he allegedly claimed he could or did have COVID-19. He's now locked up in the county jail in lieu of $6,000 bond. A police spokesperson said it was his understanding that Arundel had bought some items at Walmart in another state and became upset when he was denied returning them at the incident location. Aha! In light of the conduct, cops say Walmart had to destroy the merchandise because they could not sell infected, damaged items. The warrant estimates the store losses at $2,000 or less. Earlier this month, shoppers at the Spartanburg Walmart have been required to wear a face mask due to a city ordinance. And then beginning on July 20th, Walmart began requiring face coverings at all of its U.S. stores. South Carolina is crazy. We knew that, though.
Yes, we did. I said it all the time.
So, yeah. I mentioned this at the beginning of the show, so I'm going to go through it pretty quickly. So this guy, Daniel Turner, wrote an op-ed in the Washington Post. Now, here's what needs to stop happening. These papers need to stop publishing these op-eds from dipshits. I don't care who they are. They just need to stop.
I concur.
It's titled, Goodbye, Washington, D.C. Mayor Bowser broke her contract with residents like me, so we're leaving.
Motherfucker, the Capitol is still there. Ain't nobody going no goddamn where.
Bye.
They have spent the last 20 years getting all the black people out. White people ain't going nowhere.
Oh, well, he is, though. He writes, I used to go for afternoon tea at the St. Regis Hotel on 16th Street. It's now been renamed to Black Lives Matter Plaza. Tea was expensive, excessive, and extremely elegant, served impeccably in a magnificent room to properly attired patrons who politely spoke in hushed tones, a little taste of a bygone era when etiquette and formality were still appreciated. The St. Regis is now girded with plywood barricades that have been spray painted with curse words. Outside, people routinely set fires and have fights with the police. If I went back, I'm sure some neoliberal philosopher of the BLM cult would tell me that clotted cream is a microaggression. The tea just isn't worth it anymore. Nothing in DC is anymore. Not to me, at least. Gay, black, trans, no offense, but so what? We are city people. We've seen it all, literally all, our entire lives. You are our neighbors, our friends, the president of our HOAs, our coworkers. The great beauty of the city is that we come from all walks of life and we get along. We accomplish this by leaving each other alone.
What the fuck?
That's why when DC's Mayor Bowser spray painted Black Lives Matter in front of my T-spot, I knew I was done. Let me read that again. I'm going to read that in a little bit of a hoity-toity voice. That's why when DC Mayor Bowser spray painted Black Lives Matter in front of my T-spot, I knew I was done. Not because of the issue itself or the cause. Remember, I don't really care. But because through her actions, Bowser effectively mandated empathy. This was government-sanctioned compassion. The mayor used taxpayer dollars, the ones I've forked over for years, to force her beliefs on me, and just like that, the pact was broken.
Wham, fucking wham.
Government-sanctioned compassion. Sorry, bro.
He goes on. The thing is, DC cannot afford to lose me. Not me as a person, but me as a citizen. Economically, I'm extremely valuable to the city. I have no kids in their failing schools. I use no government welfare services for food, housing, or health. I pay them taxes and patronize their stores, businesses, and shops. I am a buying, consuming, spending, law-abiding DC citizen, one who adds and adds to the city's coffers and never takes. DC needs me. Cities need me. Cities are now angry, dangerous garbage dumps. I'll take my money elsewhere.
Bye.
Don't let the door hit you in the ass on the way out.
Yeah. GTFO.
You dick.
Unbelievable. Oh, boy. I mean, I'm at a loss for words with this fucking guy.
He had me at government-sanctioned compassion.
Empathy. How dare they mandate empathy? They cannot. I don't really care about anybody.
I don't want to be compassionate.
Our contract was leave me alone. Sir, you're thinking of Montana.
Yeah,
that's cabin in the woods shit.
Go live in Nebraska, bro.
Nebraska needs you. They need you. All right, quickly, we'll get to Portland. And Kareem has mentioned this. Everyone, this is from Jason Nichols' tweets. Everyone who talks about BLM riots and black people burning their own neighborhoods and similar BS narratives whenever there's a rebellion should look at the demographics of Portland, Oregon, which is a whopping 6% black. Those aren't black folks clashing with that secret police force. That is, in fact, true. We had the protesters. We had the secret police force from the feds. And then we had the wall of moms. That's right. A wall of moms rolled out to this protest to say, hey, this is bullshit. And we're moms. We're not going to take this. Meanwhile, a Portland mom said she was struck in the face while protesting with that wall of moms. She detailed what she said happened in a post on Facebook, but prefaced it by saying Black Lives Matter should remain at the center of every conversation about police brutality and the deployment of federal forces to Portland. She's a 41-year-old woman, and she said she joined the wall of moms for a march that ended at the Multnomah County Justice Center in downtown Portland. Now, it started as a small group of mothers, many dressed in yellow, shielding protesters from federal agents, but quickly became a much larger presence at demonstrations and has also spread to other cities. And in recent days, federal agents have repeatedly clashed with crowds outside a federal courthouse that they have been stationed in, firing tear gas and impact weapons to disperse crowds. She said, as a 41-year-old white woman with immense privilege and a mother of 3 young children, I was inspired to use not only my voice, but also my body to defend our First Amendment right to protest and send a clear message that Black lives are worth fighting for. She posted that and a picture of her head injury. She had pulled out her phone, took pictures of federal agents standing opposite her. She said, I put my phone back in my pocket, pulled my safety goggles down from where they sat on my helmet to cover my eyes, inserted a pair of earplugs and locked arms with the woman next to me. Said, I remember some confetti had been launched on the far right of us. I could hear a marching band playing. I didn't notice anything particular happening around me or in front of me. I was looking around, looking forward, taking it in. And just before 11 p.m., I heard a boom and felt something hit my face. It wasn't immediately clear what struck her. She fell backwards. She recalls being picked up by someone who carried her through the crowd. There was blood gushing down her face. She was transported to the hospital. They finally stopped the bleeding. She had a CAT scan, no brain damage or injury to her skull. It did reveal a foreign substance in her forehead and one of her eyes. She ended up receiving 7 stitches, some pain medication, and advice to follow up with a doctor. So they're shooting stuff at moms, but that's not it. Shortly after that, a wall of veterans formed in Portland.
That's why I'm here. Keep in mind that the United States government committed atrocity every goddamn day in Vietnam. If I started talking about atrocity stories, I'd be here for a while.
So you had the moms shielding the protesters, and then you had the veterans shielding the moms. And of course, they also got tear gassed. And finally, innovation has won out sort of in Portland because with leaf blowers, protesters appear to be winning the battle with the feds. This was this weekend. The feds launched tear gas at the protesters. The protesters went out and got cordless leaf blowers, which blew the tear gas back at the federal officer.
Hilarious.
Oh boy. I mean, this is been quite a saga in Portland. From the protests to the wall of moms to the wall of vets to leaf blowers used to combat tear gas, which is just amazing to me and fantastic. And of course, they're talking about going to other cities with all of this stuff. We're going to skip Florida Corner. It's the same nonsense we normally have. Really quickly, any thoughts on the Washington football team? That's what they're going to be called this year. The Washington football team.
No. I'm going to give as much thought to it as they did to that name.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame them. You don't want to pick a bad name, so go with this. It gets you through. Look, if you've ever been in a committee meeting to determine anything creative, you know that this was not going to happen in just a day or so. This was something that was going to be a long-term process. So that's fine with me. Meanwhile, in Houston, COVID-19 has brought some innovation. That's right. The first drive-through strip club in Texas.
Nice.
Yes.
So that's right. If you're a fan of exotic dancers and eating in your car, then, and by the way, if Lou would have done this instead of going to the Magic House for his wings, he would have been all right. If you're a fan of exotic dancers and eating in your car, then Vivid Gentlemen's Club is probably your kind of pandemic paradise. The struggling Houston-based strip club now has a drive-through. It's like Burger King, but with dancing. Black metal barricades separate the dancers from the cars, and dollar bills litter the asphalt between the white siding of the tent walls. The purplish blue lighting casts a familiar to club goers ambiance over the scene, but obvious reminders of the pandemic remain. Some of the performers are in face masks. Now, it might seem like a gimmick, but it is serious business. Ever since Governor Abbott issued an executive order directing all bars and restaurants to shut down way back in March, hundreds of thousands of bartenders, servers, and entertainers have been out of work, including the staff at Vivid's Gentlemen's Club. And while restaurants are now allowed to operate at 50% capacity and bars are currently shut down, with the option of to-go sales, strip clubs fall in that gray area between bars and restaurants. So in an effort dedicated to supporting their staff, Vivid Gentlemen's Club decided to take their shot at the drive-thru experience by becoming Texas's first drive-thru strip club. So the menu, it's got nachos, burgers, chicken sandwiches, jalapeno poppers, all the usual stuff. There's an authentic Italian pizza that's handmade in Italy, according to the menu, because there's no lies at the strip club. No. Customers can pick from 6 packs of beers all the way up to entire bottles of Fireball. The only way through the drive-thru is via the giant pop-up white tent, which resembles the tents that COVID-19 tests are conducted in. Once you're in the tent, every car has a 2-song limit, so you can get some live entertainment while your food's being prepared. I guess it also keeps the kitchen moving along quickly. The live entertainment are masked and unmasked performers dancing from behind steel barricades. The concept is not entirely original because, going back to Portland, the Lucky Devil Lounge was the first to implement drive-thrus, but it's still a risky way to throw a lifeline to employees. So they racked the numbers, thought they should do it, and realized that if they do it, they're doing it for the entertainers, the staff, and employees, because to keep it open, we just can't do the numbers. We're not making any money. It's purely for the staff. So innovation.
Somebody I know went from Vegas to Texas because they couldn't make any money in Vegas at the time.
Are they working at the drive-thru in Houston?
She might be.
One never knows. Meanwhile, in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, naked cyclists have hit the street. Oh, that's an ad. I'm sorry. Hold on. Let me pull that down. Oh, that's right. It's the Amy Schumer documentary. Amy Schumer's having a baby. Isn't that great? Don't you want to go along with that?
No.
Okay.
I lived it.
Twice. To raise awareness of cyclist vulnerability and promote body positivity. Today is World Naked Bike Ride Day.
Yeah.
These cyclists were all out in the elements. The 15-kilometer ride started at Light Horse Park in Old Strathcona this afternoon. Participants could use bicycles, skateboards, rollerblades, basically anything without a motor. Of course, clothing was optional, but costumes were encouraged.
We want people to be aware of bicycles as vehicles on the street, and we want people to know that real bodies do not look anything like what they portray in Hollywood. They're real with all their imperfections and scars.
By the way, if you've ever seen a naked bike ride, if you've been to San Francisco, you probably have. You don't need to be told that. They don't look like the ones in Hollywood. Nope. Not at all. Not at all.
Even the Hollywood ones don't really look like it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. There's a lot of yeah, okay. You know what? I had some small town news, but there's a new yeah, and it's weird too because I was able to look at this article earlier today, and you just had to register, and now it's asking you to subscribe. Only subscribe. So you know what? We're not doing that. Florida. Yeah, we're not doing. Not gonna do it. We are not going to do it. So let me do. Hold on. Here's one for you, Jason.
I will eat your ass first.
All right. All right. Little music on the way out, gentlemen. Ran a little longer than we were wanting to today, but hey, it's more entertainment for you. Kareem, any final words for everybody?
Be nice. Pick up a new skill during this time. You're never too old to learn anything new. It's a little more frustrating trying to learn when you get older, but put some effort in. Learn something new this week.
Jason.
I'm going to counter what he said with just because in my own life, man, if you're just getting by right now, just living with your significant other and your kids that you have in the house and just being stuck with them all the time, and you're working from home, it's okay just to exist, man, and just survive it and, you know, try to remember the good things.
As always, we'll leave you with this. Don't be an asshole. It's the motto of the show.
It's an easy one.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, everybody, for watching live on Facebook, everybody for downloading and listening to the show from across the globe. We do appreciate each and every single one of you. Shout out to all of the podcasts emanating here from Darling New Media Podcast Studios in Sacramento. There are new ones coming all the time. Very excited to have the people in here doing their shows, the perspectives, the stories that everybody has are just amazing, absolutely amazing. So check us out at darlingnewmedia.com. Check out the Crazy Classy Colored podcast. Check out the All Eyes on Us podcast. There is a new podcast starting up called The Caring Quail, and we've recorded a few episodes of the Prison Post podcast, which the stories are just mind-blowing in that. That's going to be dropping in August. And, of course, the Doc Style podcast and the CNAA podcast as well, coming here from Darling New Media, as well as season 2 of Hey 19, Coping with Corona. More podcasts being added all the time. And if you've got stories to tell, reach out, because we're here to help you tell your stories. That's it for us for the WTH podcast. You be good, be safe, and we will see you next time.